everyone. Welcome to the Porthole to Justice. I am your host, Amelia Duran. It is September 25th, 2020, and I'm here today with the third part of a series that I've been hosting about targeting and human trafficking with Sahar Chinyere, who is a photo journalist that has been journaling these incidences for about 7 years now that I'm aware of, but it could be longer. Anyways, I'm hosting this series because I think it's important that we not just focus on the human trafficking itself and the political aspects, but also on the tactics and the victim stories themselves, because, that way people can develop more tools and resources to better help victims that are targeted for human trafficking. So this is the third part in a series, and I'm going to go ahead and call my guest. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you.
So I was just doing an intro, and I was explaining to the listeners that this is the third part of a series that I've hosted with you, and we're focusing on actual tactics that are used in targeting and gang stalking and harassment, organized predation, so that, people can be more informed and educated on some of the issues that targeted individuals go through, so we can help better. We can develop tools and resources. Okay?
I'm hoping, because I think the biggest problem I find with this is that there's nothing seems to be, at least in practice, even if it's supposed to be in theory, in place for people who are being targeted for covert human enslavement and trafficking by this highly shielded network that includes government parties. They seem to be using black budget resources, front organizations in multiple countries, things like that. And there really needs to be, because it's quite extensive. And, I just can't imagine anybody legitimately agreeing that, okay, human trafficking is the worst plague on humanity. We need to go after it. It needs to be made to stop. All the politicians from, whatever party they're affiliated with. Except for, the ones being targeted by the ones that can flash badges and say, these are some secret projects, need to know. So they get to just, rape and traffic people and non-consensual experiment and so forth as they please.
Exactly, and I think a huge component that's been missing from shedding light on this issue is developing resources to empower victims that are targeted using these tactics. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the third part of the series.
Okay, did you already, do I need to say my name and so forth, or did you say that? I was just figuring out, to be smart enough, I was going to start listening to the intro, and right when I was getting it loaded up is when you called me.
Oh, okay. Well, we may have some new listeners tuning in, so it's always good to, present yourself so they know who you are, and you've been doing this for quite some time that I'm aware of, I think like 7 years.
No, it's more than that. It's more than 13 years. I think I know why you got 7 in your mind. I started regularly posting by the middle of 2007.
Oh, okay. So, just to sort of premise the introduction of the show, go ahead and share a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Sahar Chinyere. I'm a human interest photojournalist, and basically I really... I'm very hopeful. I was kind of upset, but I'm very hopeful more so now that I've had to, in the current time frame, not for the first time, but it's not been most of the time I've been posting. Most of what I post, I try to collect information that's generally applies, and it's not necessarily about a specific party, whether it's about my case or anybody else's case. But there's been every multiple of 6 years, the year leading into, the year during, and the year coming out of, so really every multiple of 5 through multiple of 7 years, there's been a life-threatening surge in targeting that I personally have experienced, and I have learned it to be an international pattern when the targeting is being done by this element that they engage in a lot of Luciferianism. And some would say Satan worshiping, but I know a lot of them would object to that. But they're, enlightened, Illuminati, Luciferian, what have you. Lucifer being the bearer of light. So they, it seems to me that they try to, probably if they can, they'll make it like a diagnostic criterion on the in the diagnostics and statistics manual, that if somebody says there is such a thing as satanic ritual abuse, then they have to get hauled away and disappeared or something in the mental health system. But apparently there really is satanic ritual abuse. That seems to be an overlapping factor, and so they flare things up to where I think that especially during those times, there's more sexual assaults and other life-threatening activities, and some people just don't make it, either directly because of assault or indirectly because of being pushed to suicide. And so right now, they've done this flare-up, and I'm needing to try to get some legitimate government intervention to make it stop. 'Cause I'm 49 years old now, so this is a flare-up surrounding me turning 48 last year. It started 2018, all of 2019. Now we're still doing this, still going on in 2020, and I'm at the end of my rope with it. I'm sure I have enough evidence, and I learned in the process when I've gone to try to get help that there's a script, a malicious psychological operations script, because apparently these people are using military intelligence connected psychological operations groups, and so they have people at the police stations and at the hospitals and so forth that literally, if they hear certain things that let them realize that you're in the program, if they didn't already know, like get a text or something giving them a heads up, with your picture and everything and your name, and here this person is going to try to come for help at the police station or the hospital or what have you. They're following a script. So as soon as you start complaining about it, trying to tell them, you need to be tested for being poisoned, or, which is a common tactic they've been using, is poisoning through what you're breathing in if they can't get you to eat or drink something or so. And then, or if it's going to the hospital for that kind of help, or going for the police to say, look, somebody's stalking you, they look like they're trying to abduct you, this kind of thing, and they say, oh, you must be paranoid, and they already know which doctor, which facility, and which doctor at which facility, and so forth, they're looking to shepherd you to. They have a plan in place, apparently, to get you disappeared under color of authority. They would, and also discredited that way.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. And so I think, go ahead, sorry.
A lot more people are actually aware of these tactics now, given that it's much more on social media, and, especially when it comes to the more shadow, behind the scenes, hidden hand type thing. People are more and more aware of it because of social media and the internet, and people like yourself.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's not as, it's not, I think it was harder. It was something that was a lot more difficult to talk about or discuss in the past. Not so much now.
I agree. A lot of people that I know, both friends and other contacts, they have told me the same thing, that they think, these people keep following this script because apparently they haven't figured out a new one of trying to say, oh, it just sounds so paranoid and whatever, and they think they can sell that story, but it's not, people aren't really buying it so much anymore.
Yeah, and I think too, also, you'd mentioned that they have these black budgets and they operate under the color of law. And there's also procedures that they have to comply with in the administrative courts. And I've noticed that a lot of these tactics are also used in the administrative courts.
Yeah, I really think that was involved early on in my case, actually in Canada. And I'll get back to that in a minute. I'm a little worried.
Sahar, can you speak into your mic? I seem to have lost you.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I got you back.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that might probably be interference because I'm actually sitting at a desk today. I'm trying not to really move. So I rotated my chair angle a little bit back to where it was, but I didn't actually move, get up or anything or shift over. So it shouldn't change the sound that much, but we'll keep our fingers crossed and just let me know. I'll keep trying to adjust if need be. So I remember I saw some nice comments from the previous part 2 was episode 364, and I think this one is episode 365, and it was by Esther, and there was 2 questions in there, so I wanted to answer those real quick. And I think, let's see, she said, would you say that you believe the entire cult was some sort of experiment? Well, I would say basically, and I'm still learning about this because apparently there's a lot of it, complicated layers of information that goes with who is involved, including Jim Jones himself and other people, including the doctor, at least one doctor that was involved with the concoction that they killed all these people with for that experiment. That saying comes from about don't drink the Kool-Aid. And that reminds me, before I get Kool-Aid mad at me for no reason, I wanted to explain. I think if I remember right, I read that some actually of the what was put together was Kool-Aid based. Not that it would be the company's fault anyway. It wasn't that it was inherently poisoned. Poison was added to the drinks. But actually, a lot of what they used was a knockoff called Flavor Aid. So just a little trivia there. But so I do think apparently a doctor that was involved with that, what drug or drugs to put in there and what have you, was somebody that went to, and actually had his medical education, I believe, even paid for, at least sponsored by these people, by these parties for the cult, went to Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara Medical School, and that's where the people believe, but not known to be my parents, went to, and they have some kind of front society there that's supposed to be, sounds like a CIA mind control front type society, and that it is, they even wrote up a front history of having basically starting out with Nazi ideologies, or a semi-front history, because unfortunately there's some dark history with the United States CIA, with a lot of the people coming in with the Nazi heritage brought over with new identities under Project Paperclip being actually allowed to continue doing unethical research on people where they know they're going to be abusing the people, and so forth, to try to get that what they call mind control, coercive control of the mind, and covertly. So, and they've been known to use abuses, they've been known to use sexual assaults, they've been known to use drugs, they've been known to target people from as young as they can get their hands on, so including sexual assaults and abuses of children. But they're supposed to have officially stopped. But it's obvious to me from my experiences and from the others I've been learning about in all these years now that they either never stopped at all or they have resurged since. And whether they use technically the same project